4.3%. Hopes for an economy less encumbered by tariffs also sent crude oil prices higher. The U.S. dollar strengthened against other currencies, and Treasury yields jumped on expectations that the Federal Reserve won't have to cut interest rates so deeply this year in order to protect the U.S. economy. The Dow was up 1,160 points to 42,410. The Nasdaq gained 779 to 18,708. The S&P 500 added 184 points to 5844. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm John Scott.
News and analysis at townhall.com.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Overnight clouds, more rain is possible. The low dipping to 66. Tomorrow we're warmer, a high up to 81. We'll have a 40% chance we get scattered thunderstorms on and off throughout the day. Rain chances do drop to 20% for Wednesday. The temperatures climb the rest of the week. By Friday, we could hit 91 as our high. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Please press button now. No, that number's bigger than the one I said.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. It is Sports Talk Media Network on a manic Monday. We are here to help you get over the kind of rainy day we've had today, kind of a downer kind of day from a weather standpoint. We're here to put a smile on your face and a song in your heart after a very busy weekend. Of course, a manic Monday that follows with a lot of things happening today. Our phone number, 888-898-2525. That's the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. To reach us here on Sports Talk, you can also drop us a text message, text line number brought to you by Larry Lucas Insurance, and that number is 803-900-4847, 803-900-4847. Coming to you from our Columbia studios at the Point Radio in Columbia. Behind the board tonight, we have the body, Jesse Johnston, the body Johnston, and the plumber is here as well, now in more of an advisory role as we welcome Chris Bergen back from vacation. I have to keep reminding the plumber about a young man named Wally Pip. And, Wally Indeed. Pip took to the sideline one time back in the 1930s. A guy named Lou Gehrig replaced him at first base with the Yankees, and Wally Pip was never heard from again until they made a soda after him. Anyway, welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing great, and I was thinking, I looked at the video stream that we run, and I thought, gosh, Josh has changed a lot since I was on vacation.
He got a lot better looking, didn't he?
Good to be back. It's good to be back.
All right, how was the Grand Canyon? I mean, like every time you looked at it, did you see something different?
Yes. I mean, the pictures, we were in Arizona all last week, and Phil, I figured out if there is a state in our union that you and I could both live in because of how you love the heat and I love the cold and still be in the same borders, it would be Arizona. We had about a 70-degree difference in temperature between different spots because we went to Flagstaff, Arizona. Also went to Winslow, so I could stand on the corner with Glenn Fry.
There you go.
Winslow, Arizona, which was really cool. They've got a statue there. And then the Grand Canyon, and then came back to Phoenix. And when we flew out yesterday, the high was supposed to be 104 degrees. So it's fascinating. I'd never been to Arizona, and the topography of that state is just remarkable. Elevation change. You can go from 8,000 feet to about 1,000 feet above sea level. level. And it was just a remarkable trip. But the Grand Canyon, if you have never been and have the resources to go, I highly recommend it. Phil, you've seen it. And the pictures I took, and I'm no photographer, but even the pictures I took don't do it anywhere close to justice of what you see. I mean, it's just an amazing, amazing place.
Did you have the guts to do what I suggest you do, and that is walk to the edge and turn your back with your heels hanging over the edge and jump up and down for people to take pictures?
No, I didn't do that. I actually have several selfie shots that I did with my wife where we have the Grand Canyon and some of the mountains out there in the background. Funny story, though. I was going to, because I'm a big Brady Bunch fan, and if you remember the Brady Bunch comedy series from back in the, 70s, they actually went to the Grand Canyon. And so while we were out there, I tried to figure out where exactly they filmed that scene that opens up the episode where they're at the Grand Canyon. I found it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get off the bus and walk over and take a picture. Well, as I'm walking over there, because I'm by myself, my wife could not have cared any less about where the Bradys saw the Grand Canyon. So I figured I'd just go do it on my own. I actually stepped on a rock the wrong way, lost my balance, and fell forward. I'm thinking, oh my gosh,
this is it.
I wasn't close enough to the edge to slide in, but boy, it was makes your heart skip a beat for sure.
Did you go to one of those places where you can walk out over the Grand Canyon and you've got like a fiberglass or something stronger, but you can see through it? It's got a see-through floor, but it juts out over the canyon, so you look down, there's nothing underneath you. It's just you just hope that thing doesn't crack and break.
Exactly. Did not. We actually stayed on the South Rim. They've got hotels on the South Rim. The North Rim at the Grand Canyon has not opened yet. I think it opens either this week or next week. It's been closed for the winter season because evidently it gets much colder and they have poor weather on that side of the Grand Canyon. So, but no, I never saw that opportunity, and I'm not sure I would have taken advantage of it. I'm not terribly afraid of heights.
Yeah.
But that would have made me queasy, I'm sure.
Yeah. Not big on them either. Okay, phone number is 888-898-2525. So before we dive in to things today to talk about and get into phone calls and everything else, so you've had to bundle up things for about 9 days or so. So what do you want to get off your chest sports-wise?
Let's go baseball, college baseball, because I think our three big boys in the state, if you will, are sort of good, bad, and ugly right now. And I think Coastal, Phil, as we have seen with their win over Clemson, sweeping the season series and how well they're playing right now, 40 wins already, first time since 2016 that they did so. I don't know that you can make a cogent argument that they are not now the best team in our state and maybe the best opportunity we have to get a team to Omaha because of their pitching and what they've been able to do. They, much like Clemson, I think have a very, very solid bullpen. What separates the Chanticleers from Clemson and certainly the Gamecocks is their starting rotation. I mean, Coastal's got three guys who could probably start. I guarantee you, if you took Coastal's pitching staff, they would be the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday starters for USC, without a doubt. Because those guys have been, between Morrison and Eichhoff and all the guys they've been able to run out there, their pitching staff has been, and Flukie, who's their Saturday guy, have been phenomenal. And then you look at Clemson, and Tiger fans, I would be terribly concerned about this because they may have now fallen off the 8 line. And Phil, I don't know that Clemson can win a super regional on the road. And this past weekend, they couldn't even win a home series, which shocked me because they've been so good in that circus-like atmosphere that they've created at Club DKS. But you put them on the road against a really good team, I don't know that they can win a super regional away from home. Now, Eric Bakich, after the weekend series loss to Duke, said all the right things, and he's expecting them to bounce back and go on a run. I'm just worried that their run was early in the season, the way they started. And they have tailed off considerably, just not playing very good baseball. And then speaking of not playing very good baseball, the Gamecocks, and I hesitate to use this term, Phil, it bothers me, but now that they are professional paid athletes, I feel a little bit better about saying this. I'm not so sure that team has just not quit on its head coach. I mean, you cannot allow 60-plus runs in 2 series the past 2 weekends the way they have and actually believe those guys are going out and giving it their all. And they are by far, this installment of the Gamecocks, I don't think this is a stretch, the worst baseball team that USC has fielded since Ray Tanner was hired as head coach. And it may turn out to be the worst team they've ever had, period. I mean, you're looking at them possibly setting a new school record for futility in the SEC and also overall. And this season for them probably can't get over soon enough. And Paul Maneri's got a lot of work to do. And I was fascinated to watch some of the social media stuff that was going on last week about coming out of the Auburn series. There were Gamecock Twitter pages, and not legitimate sources, but at least Gamecock Twitter pages that were saying that Paul Maneri was going to be gone by Monday or Tuesday. And he came out and said, no, I'm here. I'm going to fix this. He's got a lot of work to do, Phil. You've got to start with the pitching staff. It is embarrassingly bad, but it's a lot of work to not only get that team back, but then he's got to find a way to also get the fan base back. We've talked about this before. That fan base is, as you had to Twitter, I think it was on Twitter last week, the poll question was, do you have any confidence? And 75-80% of the Gamecock fans said no, they have no confidence that Paul Maneri's got to get it turned around. This is as bad and as low a point as I can ever remember, probably for Gamecock baseball.
Yeah, ditto everything you just said. Let me throw a couple of things into that. Let's begin with Clemson, because I ran some numbers on Clemson, because the Tigers over their last 10 games, they are 2-8 over the last 10 games. Here are some of the numbers. They've scored 54 runs. They've allowed 92. They've had 80 hits. They've given up 127. They've walked 40, committed 8 errors, allowed 13 unearned runs. Over the 10 games in which they've gone 2-8, team ERA climbed from 4.32 to 5.02. Team batting average dropped from 277 down to 270. So is this just a rough stretch? I heard what you heard from Eric Bakich, and he's sort of like, okay, we're okay. Our back's against the wall here a little bit. It's go time now. And he kind of feels like he can sort of push a button and things are going to return to where they were before the NC State series when they beat Georgia and looked very good. But ever since then, it's been a true slide. I have wondered throughout, they have dealt with that question mark for their number 3 starter. But their number 1 starter has been struggling during this time. And their number 2 starter, well, they miss Ethan Darden, of course. He's been out with an injury, so they do miss him. But I don't know if they have enough pitching to get very deep in the NCAA tournament this year. With so much hope on getting to Omaha with a great start, I don't know if they have enough pitching to get through a regional, whether it's on the road or at home. I still think at this point in time, unless something terrible happens to them at Pittsburgh later this week, I still think they'll be a top 16 team and host a regional, but then they're going to have to go on the road for a super regional, which might be good for this team. They've been home so much in regional and super regional play when they've gotten there. Maybe going on the road won't be such a bad thing, but those numbers just have not been good. And now to the Gamecocks. John Whittle wrote an interesting piece today in the Big Spur, and I just pulled a few excerpts from that because with John, of course, it's right on the nose, factually speaking. This is not opinion, hyperbole. This is just out-and-out facts. Here's a few things that he wrote about South Carolina coming off the Auburn series. Tyler Pitzer was pitching with strep throat. He pitched in that game, the first game. They gave up, 24 runs? So he said Pitzer was pitching with a strep throat.
That's
unbeknownst insane to the coaching staff at the time that Pitzer was sick, but he wasn't with the team the rest of the weekend. So first of all, I mean, if you've ever had strep throat, how in the world do you go out and play baseball and pitch? And then secondly,
I don't know.
How do you keep that quiet? If you're not feeling well and it's affecting your performance, that's incumbent upon you to tell your coaches, hey, I can't go. I'm sick. I'm not going to help anybody out there. Also, John wrote that Paul Maneri did not address the team prior to the doubleheader on Friday. Okay, these are just things he's writing. Make of it what you want. Then he wrote that reliever Ashton Crowther, who pitched well out of the bullpen, and he thinks he might get a start against LSU this upcoming week. And he had success against Auburn over the weekend, one of the few pitchers who did. He did take that loss, when he gave up the bunt, and he probably wouldn't have gotten the guy at home anyway, but he never even tried. He threw to first, which was not going to do any good. It was less than 2 outs. So he said, this is what John wrote, John Whittle, Big Spur. He says, while that squeeze bunt attempt was perfectly executed and Crowther wouldn't have had a chance to throw the runner out at home, he looked to first and he made the throw for the out, even though that run was scoring to end the game. He said Crowther did not have the situational awareness needed in that moment. And here's what he wrote. It's also worth noting that South Carolina has not practiced situational bunt defenses on the field since prior to the start of the season. There hasn't been any pitcher fielding practice in any aspect since prior to the start of the season either. There have been numerous mix-ups and poor play in recent weeks in that area, he writes, and no real effort by the coaching staff to tighten up those loose ends with basic fundamental work in practice. It's John Whittle from the Big Spur. Also, he wrote, the coaches were ready to get back on the bus at the end of the long doubleheader and the weekend when they left Brendan Sweeney on the mound for a 50-pitch eighth inning. John writes, no pitcher should be allowed to throw 50 pitches in a single inning because of the elevated risk of injury. It's not as though he just struggled for several hitters to get the final outs of the inning. 6 straight hitters reached with 1 out. He retired the final 2 outs of the inning by strikeout. And then he points out that one of the top arms on the team is Parker Marlott. He was brought in the final game of the series with the Gamecocks only trailing 6-3 in the 5th. He recorded 3 outs on 15 pitches, 12 for strikes, with a foul out to the third baseman, a pop-up to right, and a ground ball back to him. He has a 3.6 ERA, which is probably the best on the team. And he said he writes that Marlott was pulled from the game to start the 6th inning, and Jarvis Evans came in and gave up a pair of runs in 2 innings. Then Sweeney had his 50-pitch frame. What he's arguing here or making the point is why was Marlott pulled at that time when he's your most effective pitcher ERA-wise, and he had a good inning, and you take him out, and then it just goes – basically he is criticizing decision moves here and practice methods and approaches to things. So he is really taking a deep dive into some behind-the-scenes stuff here that apparently he feels is a reason why the South Carolina baseball program is in the situation it is in today. So this stuff is a poor reflection on the coaching staff for sure, with some very poor decisions and some very poor practicing habits, I would say, and something that Coach Maneri has got to address and fix if he's going to turn this thing around like he says he will.
Well, considering the South Carolina is 10th in the SEC in fielding percentage, you would think they would get in as much ground ball work and PFPs, pitcher fielding practice, as they could. I'm stunned. And I never played organized baseball. I went out for Little League one time, didn't enjoy it, so I was done. But I don't want to get over my skis too far here, but it seems to me if your defense is not number one in the SEC, you need to be out there working on it. And when your pitching staff, in particular, has the second worst ERA in the league, you need to lean heavily on the guys who are actually getting you outs. Yeah. And, I don't understand many of those moves that have been made here recently.
Yeah, this has happened.
I don't know how they're defendable either.
This has happened on more than one occasion throughout the season. So, Coach Maneri, they do have some questions to answer. Again, you're looking at a guy who's won over 1,500 games in a national championship. Has he lost the ability to run a program, to make the right decisions, to make the correct critical call? Maybe it has passed him by. These are legitimate questions you ask of a 67-year-old coach who's trying to resurrect his career at a place that wasn't really broken, but now it's broken. Now it's got to be fixed, and you have a situation where you have an AD who did not hire you, and he says the relationship is great between himself and the AD, so he doesn't foresee any concern there. There is a very hefty buyout if anything were to happen from a South Carolina standpoint to want to make a change. They would owe him a lot of money, so that might make him a little bit hesitant if they're thinking about that. Personally, I feel like you give them another year to fix this thing in the offseason. They've got good recruiting going on, so it would appear, and so you give him another year, and I think he deserves the opportunity to work whatever magic he's got and see if he can put a much better product on the field. Sometimes patience is a virtue. Auburn was terrible last year. They didn't fire their coach. Look where they are today. And there's a lot of stories like that around college baseball. Okay, we're going to hit the break, and we'll be back. Phone number 888-898-2525. Back in a moment.
When I grew up, I want to be a nurse. I want to be an engineer. I want to be a teacher.
There's never been a better time to start making their dreams come true. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan, makes it easy to save for their future education. Contributions are tax deductible, earnings are tax free, and you can start saving right now with any amount. Go to futurescholar.com today to discover the smart, easy way to save for college. That's futurescholar.com.
Hi, this is Billy Downer from the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. Are you looking for a safe place to shoot your rifle or handgun? Did you know that the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources operates 4 manned ranges across the state in Pickens County, Spartanburg County, Richland County, and Charleston County? For more information on our public ranges, visit dnr.sc.gov/shooting.
Hi, Phil Kornblut here with our good friend George Bryan III. Heard every Friday night on Birdies, Bogeys, and Biceps right here on Sports Talk. George, the Tsunami Bar, a very valuable tool for golfers. Why is that?
Well, the first thing that I say is the tempo. It's the only tool out there that allows the study of tension right from the first grab to be expressed, and rhythm and tempo is what makes the bar work, and it gives you something awfully special to keep those hands soft and get that rhythm going.
Learn more about Tsunami Bar technology by clicking on the digital ad on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, and save 5% by purchasing online using the promo code BBB5. Okay, we got the opening day of play in the NCAA Men's Golf Regionals at spots around the country. We've got 5 teams from South Carolina participating, so let's do the update. Bremerton Regional out in Washington, and, of course, how about Nathan Franks, man? He had to finish up in the Myrtle Beach Classic and did a nice job, made the cut, played the weekend, finished tied for 37th as an amateur. Heck of a job by him. Then hop on a plane and fly out to Bremerton, Washington, where the Gamecocks teed off this morning at about 8:30, 9 o'clock. South Carolina is in 7th place now. They are in at 5 over par, and Coastal Carolina is also in at plus 23 and is in 14th place. Your leader is Florida at -9. Arizona State is 2 under, and Kansas State is 1 under, and South Carolina's in 7th at +5. And, of course, it's the top 5 that advance to the national championship tournament. Luke Poulter and Cooper Schultz, they are your leaders individually at 4 under par. Top score turned in by South Carolina today. And by the way, Franks gets there after that long flight and everything. He goes out and birdies his first hole. He birdies number 10. But Zach Adams had an even par round today. Frankie Harris had an even par round today as well for the Gamecocks. And let's see where Frank's there he is. He came in at +2. Boy, you know he's wore out as well. He came in at +2. So South Carolina's got a little bit of work to do. Nothing to panic about this early in the first round. Try to make your move tomorrow. And, of course, Coastal Carolina's got a lot of work to do at 23 over. Right now, the cut line would be at +1. So South Carolina would be only 4 shots off the cut line of the top 5.
I think Frank's felt more pressure teeing off and competing in the PGA Tour event over in Myrtle Beach when he wasn't expected to do much, or teeing off today trying to lift and elevate his teammates because he's obviously one of their frontline guys to the NCAA championships.
Yeah. I think the weekend at Myrtle Beach was just for fun. This is where the pressure is. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. In Tallahassee, Furman turned in a round of +2, and they are 5 shots off the cut line. Florida State's the leader at 14 under par. And then at the Auburn Regional, we have 2 more teams in that one. And Charleston, College of, is in 10th place, 5 over. And Upstate is 13th at +14. Right now the cut line is -1. And Auburn is your leader at 13 under par. So they have some work to do. Okay, we'll hit the break. Be back with more Sports Talk. It's a Manic Monday edition here on the Sports Talk Media Network.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Overnight clouds, more rain is possible. The low dipping to 66. Tomorrow we're warmer, a high up to 81. We'll have a 40% chance we get scattered thunderstorms on and off throughout the day. Rain chances do drop to 20% for Wednesday. The temperatures climb the rest of the week. By Friday, we could hit 91 as our high. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Tradition and quality. That's what you get with H&J Cattle Company, where local third-generation farmers ensure you receive the finest beef in South Carolina. Our registered Hereford and Wagyu cattle are raised with sustainable practices without growth hormones, antibiotics, or animal byproducts. Taste the difference with the highest quality beef guaranteed. Order now at HandJCattle.com or on Instagram and Facebook at H&J Cattle. Again, HandJCattle.com, where ethics meets quality.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. More than 100 people have been killed in a jihadi attack in northern Burkina Faso. Local residents and an aid worker told the Associated Press on Monday that the attacks were carried out on several locations, including a military base in the key town of Djibo, long besieged by the extremists. A federal judge is refusing to block the Internal Revenue Service from sharing immigrants' tax data with the Immigration and Customs Enforcement for the purpose of identifying and deporting people illegally in the U.S. In a win for the Trump administration, U.S. District Judge Dabney Friedrich denied a preliminary injunction Monday in a lawsuit filed by nonprofit groups. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 1,160 points. The Nasdaq rose 779. This is SRN News.
Hey, this is Kev with my good friend Ken from over at Broker Solar, and he really is a good friend. I've known Ken's family for more than 20 years. All right, so how many people lost power for an extended time back when we had that hurricane come through here, right? You got the solution, though, Ken, the solar-powered batteries.
The battery with solar system is essential. Not only can you back up your loads in an emergency event like a power outage, but you can also control the peak times that you use power, and the batteries can kick in to supplement your power usage. With our solar batteries, you can back up the home just like a generator would, but run it off the clean energy from the sun, which we get every single day. So no need to refill the gas, propane tanks, all powered by the sun.
Remember, Broker Solar is local. You make the call, the investment is worth it. How do the Point listeners find you over at Broker Solar, Ken?
The best way is going to be through brokersolar.com. Plenty of contact us buttons, but the phone number to reach us at would be 803-807-7417.
At Palmetto State Armory, we offer the largest selection of guns and ammunition at unbeatable prices. Our knowledgeable and friendly staff are here to provide personalized assistance, ensuring you find exactly what you need. If you enjoy outdoor activities like hunting, camping, or hiking, our clothing and outdoor gear collection has got you covered. We also feature an exceptional indoor range facility where you can experience the thrill of shooting in a safe and controlled environment. Visit us today at PalmettoStateArmory.com or your local retail store. Palmetto State Armory, American made for life.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Escape the hustle and bustle of everyday life with Spa MD, your sanctuary of rejuvenation. Feel the tension melt away as our expert team guides you through your customized wellness journey. From soothing massages to revitalizing treatments, we promise a remarkable experience that leaves you feeling renewed and empowered. Discover the calm within every visit. Reach out at 251-9400 or online at visitspamd.com to explore your options. Your oasis of tranquility awaits.
Experience South Carolina's printing powerhouse. Professional Printers is your trusted partner, bringing over 30 years of expertise in print and graphics. From digital printing to web and sheet-fed solutions, we handle it all with a team of over 100 dedicated professionals. Locally owned and operated, we have 2 locations in the Midlands and serve our customers with pride, ensuring top-notch service and quality in every project. We do it all, including storage and promotional products. Visit proprinters.com and elevate your printing experience with us.
Okay, we're back. Sports Talk here on the Sports Talk Media Network. Hope you had a great Mother's Day weekend. Survived all the rain over the weekend, and today, supposed to warm up as the week goes on. Weather gets better. I think South Carolina LSU series in Columbia should be okay from what I can tell at this point. Phone number 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. If you want to join us here on Sports Talk. And our text line number, brought to you by Larry Lucas Insurance in Columbia. That number is 803-900-4847. Before we dive back into business, I do want to take a moment here to update you and just mention that our good friend Jim Toman, as we told you a couple of weeks ago when he wasn't able to make his regular appearance on the show, was dealing with some health concerns and did not want to go into great detail out of respect for him and privacy, but now I see that a GoFundMe page has been started and people have been texting about it and tweeting about it. So he is dealing, unfortunately, with brain cancer and is going to have surgery on Wednesday at Duke University Hospital. So obviously this is a very dangerous and serious situation. So we're thinking about Coach Toman and the family and certainly wishing the best for him. I mean, you just, it kind of takes your breath away, Bergie, not to become too morbid here for a moment, but it does kind of take your breath away. Here's a guy that, we talk to every Monday. We talk to in between. A happy-go-lucky, energetic guy, taking care of his family, visiting his son playing minor league baseball, going up and taking care of his uncle and all these other things. And then next thing you know, he's dealing with this.
Yeah, I don't even begin to know how you comprehend when the doctor walks in and sits you down and says, "Jim, got to tell you have brain cancer." I mean, that any type of cancer is scary, but it just seems like if they tell you brain cancer, boy, that's just got to, as you pointed out, that's just got to take your breath away. So yeah, no doubt our prayers are with Jim and his family and the doctors too, and hopefully he'll come out better on the other side. When did you say Wednesday morning he's got surgery?
Wednesday, 12:30.
12:30.
Yeah. So,
wow.
Cross your fingers, hope for the best, and
no doubt.
Trust that those doctors. He's at a great place, of course, Duke. And, trust that those doctors can do a great job, and hopefully we'll have him back with us here sooner than later. In the meantime, we'll have Rudy Jones with us once again tonight at 7:30 to talk baseball around the state of South Carolina, as we've got more going on than just South Carolina, Clemson, and Coastal Carolina. We got junior college tournaments with Florence Darlington Tech going to play tomorrow. I think their game was pushed back a day because of the weather, but they're a win away from getting to the National Junior College World Series once again. And then you've got Division II tournaments taking place. So we'll catch up with Rudy on all that coming up in just a little bit. In the meantime, our poll question of the week, which is brought to you by Larry Lucas Insurance right here in Columbia, 803-799-1998. For all your insurance needs, just give Larry a phone call and let Larry and the staff work with you on that. So Clemson is ranked as high as number 2 in some spring projections, meaning some analysts think the Tigers can win another national championship. What do you think of what they think? A, I think they're dead on. B, I think they're off some. C, I think they are way off. 50% are in the middle. They think that those experts are off some. 30% think they're dead on, and 20% think they are way off. Well, I tell you, you look at this Clemson team, it is definitely a talented team, as you well know, starting at the quarterback position and going on through it. As a matter of fact, I saw a mock draft for the 2026 NFL draft, saw that today, and you had several Clemson players listed in the first round, which leads you to believe, Bergie, that this is sort of a all-or-nothing year for Clemson. Yeah. If they don't do it this year, it's going to take them a little while to get back in this position from a talent standpoint. But they do have, in this mock draft, they have Lenore Sellers going as the number 2 pick behind Arch Manning. They have Lenore Sellers. They have Manning going to the Saints, and they have Sellers going to the Browns, who would take yet another quarterback to try
to Lenore's.
to try to get it right. And so, I mean, that's quite a compliment to Lenore Sellers to think that you got NFL people thinking that highly of him, but apparently that's the case. This is from CBSSports.com, this particular mock draft, and the other Tigers are all on the defensive side. So you've got, for example, T.J. Parker is the next one off the board. Even before Klubnik, they had T.J. Parker going before Klubnik, and they had T.J. Parker going to the they have T.J. Parker going to the Colts with the 9th pick. Parker to the Colts with the 9th, and then Peter Woods with the 11th pick going to the Seahawks. And then the Rams making a trade with the Falcons. How do you mock this?
Yeah, that I don't know.
More than a year in advance. But anyway, they have the Rams taking Klubnik with the 12th pick. And then you have coming up from Clemson, you have Avion Terrell with the 19th pick to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then I think that is it. Yeah, that's it. So how many is that off of Clemson? That's 4 first-rounders coming off of Clemson, and Lenore Sellers coming off of South Carolina with the 2nd pick. So that tells you that, A, they think very highly of Lenore Sellers. This writer calls him he could be the Cam Newton 2.0 at 6'3", 240 pounds. And then on the Clemson side of things, just the talent the Tigers are going to have this year. And that's just first round. Much like South Carolina had with this past year's draft, where they were deep and had players taken throughout the draft and ended up with about, 12 or so drafted, I think it was. And many more signed as free agents.
Right.
Clemson's going to be in that category for this year, which goes back to what we're saying. If you're Clemson, you better make it happen this year, because with all this talent leaving, there's going to be some major holes to fill in, just like South Carolina had to go out and fill some major holes. Now, South Carolina did so by hitting the transfer portal, John, very, very hard. Dabo Swinney has been able to avoid going extremely deep into the portal, John. He's only bringing in 3. But if you're going to fill holes in a hurry, you may have to do that next year for that 26 season, because they're going to lose so many good players off this year's team.
Phil, when do you think we'll get to a point, and this might be a good one with Lenore Sellers in particular, when do you think we're going to get to a point where a player that falls through the draft or even gets drafted as highly as they're speculating Sellers is, say, I don't want to go into the NFL draft because pull a John Elway, I don't want to play in Cleveland, so I'm going back to school where I can make another $4 or $5 million with my pay-for-play money, and then see what happens next go-round in the draft. I mean, there was a lot of speculation about Shedeur Sanders that he probably should have gone back to school instead of staying in the draft and being selected in the 5th round, because he would have made a ton more money with Colorado. I mean, how long is it going to be before, in your mind, do we start seeing players saying, you know what, I don't necessarily – Cooper Flagg, another good example. Mm-hmm. He's going to find out tonight where he's going with the NBA draft lottery, which is set for about 15 minutes from now. I find it fascinating that Hornets are available in the top 3, I think, in terms of odds. There's no way the NBA will allow the Charlotte Hornets to get Cooper Flagg, because they want to put him someplace that he can be a spotlight player and everybody will want to watch him. And yes, I do believe the lottery is fixed in the NBA. I have for a long time. But that being said,
that's odd, because they created the lottery because they thought the regular season was fixed. So you're telling me the lottery is fixed because they created the lottery because the regular season was fixed?
Well, don't you find it a little bit fascinating, then we'll get back to the football, that Victor Wembanyama goes to a NBA franchise as a Frenchman whose biggest fan base overseas happens to be in France, in San Antonio. You didn't see any coincidence there that just magically happened?
Well, I think the biggest thing was the Patrick Ewing draft, when
there's no doubt
the little card that had the Knicks name on it, the edge of the card was bent, so that the commissioner at the time, I think, would pull that card ahead of somebody. That's always been the rumor.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And I'm half joking, but half serious as well. But back to
let me say this about, and let me go back to one of my all-time long arguments, and that is, it's an absolute embarrassment, in my opinion, for the NBA to even have this, and now the NHL has it as well. I mean, you're just admitting that your teams don't play hard to the end of the season, that they cave in for draft purposes, which I think is an embarrassment to even consider that as being the possibility, that your coaches and the players. I mean, one thing I love about the NFL, the NFL and Major League Baseball are a little bit different. NFL players, even on the bad teams, I mean, they do play hard to the end. I can remember a few years ago where the Packers were on the cut line for making the playoffs, and they had to win, and they had to have a bad team beat a playoff-bound team, a potential playoff-bound team, for them to get in. And, the team that was the bad team, which had nothing to play for, they weren't going to make the playoffs, but they rose up and beat the better team and knocked them out of the playoffs and got the Packers in. So my point is, NFL teams will play hard to the end. Major League Baseball teams, one of the things about them, if you're a bad team and you're out of the playoffs, well, what do you do in September, October? You have call-ups. And these guys want to come, well, not October, I guess September. You're not going to the playoffs. You're not going to be playing in October. But my point is, these call-ups, they come up, and, man, they want to show out. And they're going to play hard, and they're going to give it everything they've got. So you do get, and pitchers, you see pitchers on the mound, even on bad teams, they're out there grinding and trying to do the best they can. I don't see baseball teams giving in. Why they pinpoint the NBA and believe that NBA teams, you have to put in a rule that protects the league from the idea that teams will tank for the first pick. Now, I know the thinking is, well, one pick, the right guy can turn an NBA team around overnight. We've all seen that happen.
And that's the reason.
But that's just an absolute indictment on your sport if you believe that to be the case.
No, and it's maybe even more so an indictment on your players, that they're not professional enough to go out and do their job to their best of their ability. They're being paid handsomely to go out and perform and try their best, regardless of where their team situation is. I mean, the Rockies, I'm sure, showed up for their baseball game today. They've won, 7 games so far this year?
Fired the coach.
May set a record after firing their manager. They may set a record for the most losses in Major League history. They'll show up and go play every game because they're paid to do so. That's their job. And it should be the same in the NBA and the NHL as well.
I just think it's an embarrassment. I don't watch it.
I agree.
Of course, I don't ever have to watch it. My team's never in it.
No, your team is not having to worry about that.
But it's an absolute joke and an embarrassment, and it's an insult to the – I can't believe that they've made this thing, so dramatic, and they like to show the general managers sweating and, da-da-da-da-da, so much drama. And to me, it's laughable. And, if the draft lottery was a salvation, like how many teams are repeatedly in the draft lottery year after year? Hornets. Who else? Who else is in there?
I was just about to look that up and see.
Yeah.
Who was in it last year?
You got a bunch of them in there. I think the Bulls. I think the Bulls are back in it. The Hornets.
Yep. The Hornets actually had the 6th overall pick after the lottery last year.
See, look at the team. What team in the NBA pulled itself up? It pains me to say this. Pulled itself up more by its bootstraps than any other team this year, and did not rely on the lottery to do so. Detroit.
Yep.
Detroit. Who do they have? Who they were in the lottery last year.
Yeah, they had the 5th overall pick last year.
Who was that?
Oh, boy. Great question.
Come on, Plumber. You're a Pistons fan. He doesn't know.
Hang on. This Stefan Kessel from Connecticut. No, I beg pardon, Ron Holland. Kessel went to the Spurs with the 4th pick, and Ron Holland was a G League player.
Okay. Did he make a big impact on the team? I mean, I know they got the kid from Oklahoma State that got Mike Boynton into the NCAA tournament one time. Then he left after his freshman year. He's a great player. What's his name? He's a great player for them. But anyway, my point is, what a joke. I'm sorry the NBA lowers itself. But you know what? They see it as another another revenue stream as well. It's another TV show that TNT, I guess, well, they won't have it after this year, or ESPN, whoever has it. They can make more money off of it. I refuse to watch, and I refuse to acknowledge it. So,
well, it's going to be the lead-in to the Celtics-Knicks game tonight,
I'll acknowledge what's coming up after that.
Yeah,
now
exactly.
That's the real deal. That is the real deal. Speaking of some basketball, I'm seeing here that Ante Berzovic from the College of Charleston, the motion for a preliminary injunction to be given a 5th year was denied by a district court judge. We're seeing a little bit more and more of this from the courts now, as these people are looking for these injunctions to be able to come back for another year. So he was denied, and see where that goes.
If you're
next.
the Gamecocks, you starting to get concerned a little bit about your running back position if Faison doesn't get cleared? I mean,
really?
How much longer can they wait?
Really? I think they'd be very nervous if he doesn't get cleared.
Mm-hmm.
From what I understand, I think he's probably the best of the lot. They'd have to go really scrambling here over the next month or so to see if they can find somebody else in the portal. But that's going to be hard to do, I would say. All right, we'll hit the break. We'll be back. More sports talk coming up.
I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Whether it's becoming a teacher, dentist, or engineer, every child deserves the chance to chase their dreams. Investing in a child's education with Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 College Savings Plan, can help turn those big dreams into next steps. So don't wait. You can start with any amount. Contributions are tax deductible and earnings grow tax-free. Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work.
That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
If you're looking to grow your business, Sports Talk is here to help. Whether you're a small business owner or part of a large company in the Palmetto State, we want to hear about what you do. Sports Talk has a proven track record of delivering real results to our partners, and advertising with us is probably more affordable than you think. Our network of affiliates gives us the flexibility to work with budgets of all sizes, and our statewide coverage means that whether you're in Greenville, Orangeburg, Chesterfield, Charleston, Woodruff, or anywhere in between, your future customers are listening to Sports Talk every night. Radio remains one of the most effective ways to reach potential customers, and with our extensive reach across South Carolina, your message will be heard. Every business has a story, and we're here to help share yours. Let's find success together. Email us at sportstalkmedianetwork@gmail.com or visit sportstalksc.com to learn more about how we can help grow your business.
All right, back we are. Sports Talk Media Network. Phil Kornblut, Chris Bergen, 888-898-2525 is the phone number. And here is a follow-up on what we were just talking about regarding Faison in South Carolina. This was posted by his attorney, Darren Heitner, yesterday, and he wrote that he's prepared a draft complaint against the NCAA set to be filed in the same district where Jet Elad prevailed unless the NCAA reconsiders its denial of Caden Robinson's eligibility waiver. The 5-year rule's anti-competitive effects threaten Caden's NIL deal and season. So he's getting ready to file his thing on the side of Faison to see if he can help him get that extra year at South Carolina, or get at least 1 year at South Carolina. So that situation is still moving forward.
Excuse me. Can we use that case right there that you just referenced to get rid of name, image, and likeness and actually call it what it is, and that being pay for play? Because they're not limiting his opportunity to go out and market himself. He could do that without a college. He can go out and do that. You and I are doing that right now here on Sports Talk, making money by doing what we do. So let's stop with the name, image, and likeness. All these kids want to do is go back and get paid to play in college.
So how would you answer what the courts are saying? I mean, how would you answer what the courts are saying that you have to do?
No. My point is, I'm talking more the naming of the situation, not necessarily the legal aspect of it. Mm-hmm. Because as soon as you get out of college and go get a real, a job outside of playing your sport in college, when you go get a job, you're marketing yourself. You're using your name, image, likeness, your ability to go get paid. What these kids are wanting to do is just getting paid for playing a sport. That's fine. I've got no problem with that. Let's just stop calling it name, image, and likeness and call it what it is, and that's pay for play.
Well, yeah, I know.
That's my point.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. They're trying to avoid, as best they can, the perception of employer-employee relationship. They don't want to have to do that dance and go through all of that. And, I mean, I think that, in trying to accept the way things are and moving forward with the way things are and keeping up with it, I can't help but always go back to my opinion, which will never change. I just have to swallow it and move on. I mean, I just think we're skipping a process in our American culture here by, college. The college experience is not about making money and it being a job. Whether you are an athlete or you are a music student or an art student, the college experience is about honing your craft and learning other skills to help you make money at the next level. Somehow, we have turned the college athletic situation into a rush for money. I don't want to say employer-employee because that's what it is not at this particular time. It's not that situation. But we've turned it into the opportunity to become filthy rich while you're in college. And that shouldn't be how it is. I mean, no one's ever going to convince me that a scholarship is not what a high school student is worth to go to college. If you're a great singer coming out of high school and you go to college and they give you a scholarship to be in the college choir, that's what you're worth. Now, on the weekends, if you want to go sing at the airport lounge and make money off your voice, well, that's fine. The school shouldn't have to pay you. And people contributing to the school shouldn't have to pay you to do that. So I don't understand how we've gotten to the point here so quickly, and this really is a short amount of time, how this all got so twisted to where athletes going to college now expect to be paid, feel like they deserve to be paid by just being recruited by a college. Your pay should be the free education and everything that comes with that. That's what you're worth coming out of high school. And then you develop and you grow, and if you become even better, you go to the next level, and that's where you should be making your money. Be back after the break.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. More problems at Newark Liberty International Airport. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says fewer flights will depart from Newark to review what's going on.
And if we reduce the number of flights at Newark, we're not doing it to annoy people. We're not doing it to delay people's travel. What we're doing is guaranteeing safety. And when you have problems, you actually slow things down. And that's what we've done. We've slowed down the flights at Newark until we can stand this system up and be assured that we have enough controllers and a system that's actually working to keep everybody safe.
New Jersey's largest airport has struggled with radar outages and numerous flight delays and cancellations due to a shortage of air traffic controllers. The latest problem was Sunday when a telecommunications issue briefly slowed traffic. The House GOP unleashes sweeping tax legislation before committee hearings on Tuesday. Correspondent Bernie Bennett reports.
House Republicans on Monday unveiled the heart of their long-awaited tax package, a 389-page plan for tax cuts and some tax increases that would be the most consequential tax bill to pass Congress in years. The proposal would raise a few taxes to finance some new breaks suggested by President Donald Trump and expand others like the child tax credit, while also extending many more that are set to expire at the end of this year. Lawmakers aim to combine it with another already released chunk of the plan and formally take them up Tuesday in the Tax Writing Ways and Means Committee. Bernie Bennett in Washington.
GOP leaders hope to move it through the entire House by Memorial Day and forward it on to the Senate for approval. Republicans aim to get it to Trump's desk by their 4th of July recess. Good day on Wall Street with the Dow up by 1,160 points. The NASDAQ rose 779. More at townhall.com.
Some big news. Iran is threatening to wipe Israel off the map and destroy America. Now, UN inspectors say Iran is close to getting nuclear weapons, just weeks away. But President Trump vows he won't let them. He's even moved 2 aircraft carriers to the area. This is a big story, and Newsmax's Rob Finnerty is covering it all this week and exposing the real threat. Tune in at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight for Rob's series Stop Iran and find out Trump's secret plan to fix this. Watch Finnerty on Newsmax on all major cable systems. President Trump says he watches Newsmax all the time. You should too. So download the free Newsmax app on your smartphone and sign up for Newsmax Plus to watch us anytime, anywhere. Millions are making the switch to Newsmax because it's real news for real people.
The Episcopal Church is saying no to white South Africans.
The Episcopal Church's Migration Service is refusing a directive from the federal government to help resettle white South Africans granted refugee status, citing the church's long-standing commitment to racial justice and reconciliation. Presiding Bishop Sean Rowe announced the step Monday, shortly before 49 South Africans arrived at Dulles International Airport outside Washington on a private charter plane. Episcopal Migration Ministries instead will halt its decades-long partnership with the government, according to the bishop. President Donald Trump opened a fast-track refugee status to white South Africans, accusing their government of discrimination. Bill Alexander, Washington.
Episcopal Migration Ministries has long resettled refugees under federal grants. Another faith-based group, Church World Service, said it's open to helping resettle the Afrikaners. News and analysis at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Overnight clouds, more rain is possible. The low dipping to 66. Tomorrow we're warmer, a high up to 81. We'll have a 40% chance we get scattered thunderstorms on and off throughout the day. Rain chances do drop to 20% for Wednesday. The temperatures climb the rest of the week. By Friday, we could hit 91 as our high. I'm Cal Moss with your on-point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Back we are, Sports Talk Media Network on this Monday night. Great to have you with us. Phone number 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you to reach us here on the program. Feel free to give us a shout. Love to hear from you. Take your phone calls. Got recruiting coming up. Visit from Rudy Jones at the bottom of the hour as we talk all things baseball in South Carolina. Let me hit up a few other notes here before we get to phone calls and stuff like that. Phone number 888-898-2525. How about Missouri going in and sweeping Texas A&M over the weekend, 38-11 in the last two games. That's after being sound asleep at the wheel all season long. Missouri shocks everybody. Of course, Texas A&M's not having a very good year. Wonder if they're going to make the tournament. Yeah,
and it may cost them, and they would be the first team preseason number one not to make the NCAA tournament if that happens.
Yeah. Former Richland Northeast quarterback Josh Boyd has been hired as the quarterback coach at Dutch Fork. This is interesting on a number of fronts. Number one, the primary one is that he saw his athletic career cut short after suffering a heart attack while playing basketball in 2018. I remember that story well. He was a high school kid and a good quarterback. So he went into coaching. He was at Coastal Carolina for a little while. Don't know if you got a chance to meet him, but he was like a graduate assistant at Coastal Carolina or some kind of an assistant, little background assistant. And now he's going to get a chance to work for Tom Knotts and coach quarterbacks at Dutch Fork. So good for him. Clemson today announced the hiring of their new gymnastic head coaches. It's a married couple, Justin Howell and Elizabeth Crandall Howell, who were the coaches at the University of California. And they are coming to Clemson. Talk about your culture shock. Coming all the way across the country from over there in the Bay Area of San Francisco over in Berkeley and coming to Clemson. They are former WCGA National Coaches of the Year. They are the reigning ACC Coaches of the Year, Justin and Elizabeth Howell. And they are the co-head coaches of the Clemson gymnastics program after the short stay of the previous coach, who they don't, let's see, during the, no mention of the previous coach. They've been married since 2011. They have 3 children. The previous coach was unceremoniously dumped. Really one of those, like 3 a.m. Well, they didn't put it out at 3 a.m., but they did the best they could to kind of low-key the firing of the previous coach. What was her name? Or is her name Amy Smith? Yeah.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you, since I was out last week, I didn't see anything. Has anybody reported why she was fired?
No.
Yeah.
Not on the record.
It's this is the Colts leaving in the middle of the night from Baltimore, isn't it?
Well, what you've done, of course, you can draw your own conclusions here, because there were reports of her at previous coaching stops mishandling her players.
Right. Oh, yeah.
In a somewhat over-the-top abusive manner. But when she was hired, they said that Graham Neff said they thoroughly investigated her background and found everything to be on the up and up and good to go. But apparently that was, not the case there at Clemson.
We assume, and that's the problem. When you don't give a reason, it opens it up for a lot of speculation, fairly or unfairly, and accurately or inaccurately.
Kingstree High School football coach Brian Smith is leaving to become the new head coach at Lynn Classic High School in Lynn, Massachusetts, which is like his hometown. So that's great for him. He's a terrific guy. I've known him, talked to him. He did a great job at Kingstree. They consolidated Kingstree.
Yep.
And what was the other school they consolidated? They closed there in Williamsburg County, right down Murray, C.E. Murray.
Yeah, C.E. Murray.
Yeah. So Kingstree looking for a new coach. Notre Dame announced their home football schedule. Games will be televised on NBC and Peacock, except for the NC State game, which will be Peacock only. Pretty tough home slate. Texas, Purdue, Boise State, North Carolina State, Southern Cal, Navy, and Syracuse. That's just the home schedule. Michael Jordan is going to join the NBA on NBC and Peacock as a special contributor. Baseball rankings this week. Baseball America. Coastal has surpassed Clemson in all the rankings. Baseball America. Coastal 8, Clemson 17. D1, 11 and 15. Perfect Game, 10 and 15. And the coaches, 11 and 13. The RPIs, Coastal is 12, Clemson 14, South Carolina 74, Upstate 99.
How is that possible?
What?
The Gamecocks being 74, as bad as they are, and with as many losses as they have, and I realize they played one of the most difficult schedules in the country in terms of RPI, but again, it goes back to a conversation we've had numerous times. You should be credited with winning those games, not playing those games.
Yeah. Well, one interesting thing that John Whittle wrote, and I didn't realize this till I saw what he wrote. South Carolina has not lost. They're the only team in the country that has not lost a Q3 or Q4
Isn't that
game.
crazy? Yeah. True.
So that's probably helped them there a little bit. Upstate's 99, Charleston's up to 100, Wofford's 109, Citadel's 123, Charleston Southern 137, Winthrop 198, and Presbyterian 248. Want to acknowledge, as Clemson did, that former Tiger pitcher Bob Mahoney, who not only did he give his right arm to Clemson as a pitcher, I think he was a righty, but years and years and years of his professional life working at IPTAY, and he is retiring, and so they honored him at the baseball game over the weekend. And a terrific guy, does work on the Clemson network as well as their analyst.
Does a really good job as an analyst. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he's just a great guy. So heading off into retirement, enjoy yourself, play a lot of golf. Looks like ESPN is going to extend Chris Berman through ESPN's first Super Bowl broadcast and his 50th anniversary at the network. So that would be like 29. They started in 79. His 50th anniversary would be 29, so it must be talking about like 29 there for him.
That's remarkable in this day and age, Phil, to be able to stay in our business, to stay at one company for a half a century is just amazing.
Well,
I don't care how talented you are, and Berman certainly is, but it's amazing.
Well, not only is he a talented guy, but he was a trendsetter. He was a guy that other people wanted to be like. You know, he took it to a high level, and he was really good at what he did. I think they kind of forced him out a little too soon, if you ask me. They kind of pushed him to the background.
Right.
As they did some other programming things. John Blau wrote that, this is from the Post and Courier, number of adult beverages Clemson sold at sporting events in April, especially for the Bananas game, offers a glimpse into just how much the athletic department can make in that category, saying that Clemson sold nearly $500,000 worth of booze at the athletic events. Doesn't surprise me at all, man. Tiger fans, you ever hear Tiger Bryant on our show? You know they can handle. Their alcohol. So that doesn't surprise me at all. Pablo Torre, I don't know if you had a chance to read this while you're on vacation. He's got another comment on Belichick, and he said that there's an absolute real chance that Belichick will never coach a game at North Carolina.
That's incredible.
Well,
I saw this earlier today.
You know that there's a clause in his contract that his buyout on June the 1st drops from $10 million to $1 million. And so all these conspiracy theorists are looking at that. Yeah. And they're saying he's going to buy his way out of his contract for $1 million, or they're going to buy him out for $1 million because of all the stuff swirling around his girlfriend, who, by the way, don't know if you were following the Miss Maine contest over the weekend.
She finished second.
No, second runner-up.
Second runner-up.
Technically, she finished third, which was a spot lower than the last time she tried to be Miss Maine. I told you she'd be no better than fifth in the Miss South Carolina pageant. She got no talent, all right? She's got no talent except wearing a bikini. Let's see. South Carolina and Winthrop have not named a starter, either one, for their game tomorrow night in Columbia. ACC meetings return to Amelia Island, and they seem to be a much tighter, happier league now that the lawsuits have been settled. Former Gamecock receiver Delvon Campbell signed a free agent deal with the Chargers, and the official measurement from the NBA Draft Combine on Colin Murray Boyles, 6'6.5" barefooted. That is shorter than I thought.
Yeah.
6'6.5", 239.2 pounds, a 7 foot and 3/4 wingspan, 8 foot 10.5-inch standing reach, but 6'6.5". I thought he was more like 6'8", but he's still being touted as a top 15 pick. They do. I did read one review on him coming out of the combine and reviewing his season where they noted the obvious, and that is he's not a good shooter. He's not a good outside shooter whatsoever. Excellent passer, great court awareness, very good team player, excellent defender and shot blocker. But how's a guy who's 6'6.5" without an outside shot going to survive in that league?
It's an interesting question, and the reason you felt like he was 6'8", that's what Carolina listed him as on the roster.
Yeah. 6'6.5", people, for what it's worth. Okay, let's squeeze in a quick phone call here.
Regionals real quick. Probably need to mention that, too.
Yeah. Okay, well, softball regionals. Let's be fair. The softball regionals, South Carolina's a national top 8 seed at number 8 and will face Elon Friday in Columbia. Oh, yeah. I mean, you're a big softball guy. Virginia and North Florida play in the other game of that regional. USC regional is paired with number 9 seed UCLA, and the Gamecocks would host a super. Clemson 11 seed will face Upstate in round 1 Friday at Clemson. Kentucky and Northwestern in the other game. Clemson regional is paired with the number 6 seed Texas regional. And Coastal Carolina is going to the Duke regional. Will play Georgia on Friday. Number 14 seed Duke will play Howard in the other game. That regional is paired with the number 8 seed Florida regional. Okay?
Good for you.
We do all right?
Well done. Hey, you did great.
We do our due diligence. All right,
exactly.
Quickly, we go to the phones, and I'm not even sure who we are going to. Is that Hank in Columbia? Okay, Hank, welcome in to Sports Talk. How are you? Hello, Hank. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing fine, Corn. The one thing I do think that all the money deal has gotten really crazy in terms of you talking about the money and the players. But now the two things I kind of disagree with you on. Now, one, you get a lot of with the scholarships. These music people and folk who are getting scholarships, they get scholarships and they'll perform in a certain organization or whatever. But the time constraints on them, first of all, they go out and make money during the week. They don't even have to make it during the weekend. They make it during the week, whether they're teaching private lessons or assisting local high schools that'll pay them to come out and work with them and stuff like that. But the time constraint is totally different than these athletes. And then when you say you think the scholarship should be what they're worth, well, now we know that ain't so. I mean, because if you take a scholarship for a kid at somewhere like, let's say, Charleston Southern or the Citadel or Presbyterian or whatever, you take a scholarship for that, and the kid gets a good education, you can take that out and go on. And and whatever folks show up at the games, that's what he can bring to the school. But if you look at this with these Power D1 schools, these kids are up and lifting weights at 6 a.m. and then practicing. And
they do that at Charleston Southern?
Yeah, they don't do it at this level now. You know that.
The hell they don't.
I remember talking to
Stop being so snobbish. Stop being so snobbish. They work every bit as hard at Charleston Southern, South Carolina State, Erskine, used to be at Limestone. Presbyterian, every one of those football programs, those players work just as hard. They don't have the fancy rooms. They don't have all the coaches. They don't have the nicest equipment.
And sometimes they don't have online with some of those schools.
But they're working. They're working just as hard. They're working just as hard.
But the thing is, you said worth. You're only worth what people will pay for you. And if you even look at the revenue sharing, they're talking about revenue sharing $22 million amongst all these football and all these other athletes, right, for 1 year, right?
That's right.
For an athletic department that generates like $139 million and can boast 7 or 8 millionaires who are coaching and now the assistants, some of these assistants are millionaires. You can't say that scholarships, that $13,000 a semester at USC or whatever for that athlete,
more than that.
It's his worth.
A 4-year scholarship,
a
4-year scholarship to a place like South Carolina to be a football player with everything thrown in will be $250,000. Be $250,000. A quarter. Feed you, clothe you, educate you, lodge you, travel you, doctor you.
$250,000. Now the travel, that's the work portion of it.
Add it up.
The travel is the work portion.
Add it up. $250,000.
They're going to make that money.
Easy. That's all you're worth.
Money for the university.
That's what you're worth. You're worth a scholarship.
No.
You're worth a scholarship.
That's what you all saying all the time. It's a free market world. That scholarship at USC, if you parent it, you got to say, well, they would take in that $250,000 per kid in over 4 years. But we know that's not so. We know that's not so when the SEC cuts you a check for 60-something million in spring meetings and then send you another bonus.
Well, I mean, why is it that almost every athletic department in the country is in the red? Why is it that almost every athletic department in the country is in the red?
Because they're lavishly
because they have to pay for almost every other sport loses money. Only football and men's basketball makes money. Everything else is a drain.
Think about this, Corn. You had the NCAA that everybody likes to fuss at, right? Remember one time they did that little survey about that there were at least inside the NCAA building, there were at least 20 to 30 people in there who made more than $1 million. And none of them are getting up at 6 o'clock
Well,
in
I'm
Columbia.
not saying
going
that
to
you
Fort
don't have
Jackson,
people who
calling
are
up under-
overpaid that don't deserve to be, who deserve their money. You got people in every walk of life. I got producers here that make more money than they should be making, But I mean, that's the cost of doing business.
But if you're saying that, Corn, then you have to say that if an athlete is worth the amount of money that they are making, then you can't cry about the exorbitant prices. Remember the EA Sports deal? They talked about the billions that it made each year going out, but they were using athletes and slapping their name on the back, and just because a bunch of little kids said, I want to be Clowney on my EA Sports game, they were buying them.
Okay, I get that. I'm not opposed now. I'm not opposed to an athlete going out and making money off of his name or his reputation if somebody wants to pay him. I think we've established those rules that has to be allowed, in today's world. I think we've established that, and I'm hoping that when it's all said and done, and thank you, Hank, appreciate the phone call. I'm hoping when it's all said and done, Chris, that we're going to have some kind of plan in place that will allow just that to happen. You, athlete, you, piano player, you, math major, you got somebody wants to pay you outside the hours of your time in school, somebody wants to pay you for your skills, then by all means. But we've got to get the schools out of the competitive business of bidding for players. I don't see where that's going to have a happy ending for college sports and the way that we've known it now. It may get totally blown up, an entire new system created that everybody will be fine with, And if it comes to that, then so be it. But right now, I mean, with the idea of this new commission being created, I think this new commission being created is going to tighten the screws. Tighten the screws on this, and it might bring some sanity to what has been an insane situation over the last 4 years.
Well, and you and Hank both brought up an interesting point about value and what you're worth. Jaden Rashada thought he was worth, $18 million?
Yep.
It's clear he's not. But at one point in time, he was believed to be that. How do we set that standard? Where do we find out what a player's value is worth? We have no idea. It's just these schools, as you pointed out, Phil, are bidding for players and setting the market value way above what clearly most of the kids are worth. Cooper Flagg was worth whatever Duke paid him. I got no problem with that because he's an outstanding player, and it looks like he's going to end up going to the Dallas Mavericks, who just got the number one pick in the draft. I told you the Hornets wouldn't win.
Was G.G. Jackson worth the $800,000 he got from South Carolina?
That's a great question. In terms of value to the team, wins and losses, probably not.
Well, then why are you paying him? I mean, why are you paying a player if you're not going to win with him? You're going to pay him that kind of money.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. That's the sound of a big hit on you and your car or truck. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years, helping people who get injured in car wrecks and truck wrecks. If you have serious injuries, call Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968, or email me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. That's CORBETT. I don't get paid unless I recover for you. Jim Corbett Attorney, for your best recovery from a big hit, 803-765-2968, or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
The lottery is not about getting rich. It's about helping people, and it always has been. The lottery is what helped raise the Great Wall of China, build the roads of Rome, and today in South Carolina, it's what generates millions of dollars each year for scholarships like the SC Hope, Life, and Palmetto Fellows. The South Carolina Education Lottery is investing in you. Visit sceducationlottery.com/betteryou to learn more.
All right, the Mavericks, they're the biggest losers in the lottery. I guess the biggest winners, but they're the biggest loser that becomes the biggest winner. So they'll have the first pick of the draft. Quickly, let's go to Bill in Orangeburg before we hit the break here on Sports Talk. Rudy Jones coming up and recruiting as well. Bill, welcome in. How you doing?
How we doing, Corn? Good to talk to you.
Yes, sir.
I agree with you on the NIL thing. Just let them market themselves. It's just the way it was supposed to be. Secondly, I want to congratulate my South Carolina girls with an 8 seed in the tournament. If they win the regional, they got a super regional, and they're in good shape. Lastly, I really disagree with what you said about the NFL not doing what the NBA does.
All right, hold that thought. I hate to put you on hold, but we'll come back to you before we get to Rudy. We got to hit this hard break at the bottom of the hour. Back in just a moment.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Overnight clouds, more rain is possible. The low dipping to 66. Tomorrow we're warmer, a high up to 81. We'll have a 40% chance we get scattered thunderstorms on and off throughout the day. Rain chances do drop to 20% for Wednesday. The temperatures climb the rest of the week. By Friday, we could hit 91 as our high. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Hey y'all, it's Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We're introducing Friday Night Prime Rib Special. Our great chefs at Flight Deck Restaurant have created a great prime rib dinner special, which includes a 10-ounce slow-roasted certified Angus beef prime rib dinner, served with 2 sides of your choice for only $22.95. And if you mention We Love Flight Deck, you get a free cookie or a soft drink with your meal. So come see us at Flight Deck Restaurant to enjoy a delicious slow-roasted prime rib dinner. While you're here, check out the new and improved arcade with over 33 games. We at Flight Deck Restaurant thank you, and God bless.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump has signed an executive order meant to try to lower drug costs for American consumers. A White House official says the order also sets a 30-day deadline for the health department to broker new price tags for drugs. If a deal is not reached, a new rule will kick in that will tie the price of what the U.S. pays for medications to the lowest price paid by other countries. Hamas has freed an Israeli-American soldier who was held hostage in Gaza for more than 19 months. The release offered a goodwill gesture toward the Trump administration. The deal could lay the groundwork for a new ceasefire with Israel. Idan Alexander was released to the Red Cross, which transferred him to the Israeli military. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 1,160 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Hello, this is Stacy Huff, host of Huff Nation Sports Zone, each and every Saturday, 10 to 11 a.m. right here on 100.7 FM, The Point, and also 1470 a.m. It'll be a fun trip around the world of sports. Huff Nation Sports Zone, check it out.
When your pipes panic, Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning steps right in, fast and friendly. Josh and his team aren't just fixing leaks, they're restoring your peace of mind. This is when you're at your most vulnerable. You got a problem, you need a solution. They're not coming out to upsell you or talk you into something new this or new that. You'll appreciate their process. They'll tell you what needs to get done. and what it'll cost before they ever even bring in their tools to start the work. They're locally owned, which unfortunately is no longer the norm in the Midlands. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning will treat every home like their own. They've done work for me, for my brother, countless numbers of Point listeners. Dial 799-2222 or visit franklinplumbing.sc.com and you tell them Kev from The Point sent you. You will experience plumbing that's more than just a fix. It's a solution from people who care about their work and stand by it. When you need them, please don't panic. Just call Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning, 799-2222.
Step into a world of comfortable living with Lexington Discount Homes. For over 3 decades, we've dedicated ourselves to helping families find their dream home. Our steadfast commitment to customer service and our broad range of homes ensure a fit for every taste and budget. Experience the stunning detail of a Lexington home in person at 1847 Augusta Highway. Too busy? Visit LexingtonDiscountHomes.com for a virtual tour. For homes that spell absolute comfort, you know where to find us. Lexington Discount Homes.
When you think of family, you think of hugs and lots of love. That's what your loved one will find when they move to Oakley Village for assisted living or memory care. You can rest assured your family members will participate in engaging activities, have exceptional care, and all their needs met. You gain peace of mind that comes from family taking care of family. Call Oakley Village today at 803-969-8168 and see how you too can join a community that feels like family. Or you can reach us online at oakleyvillagelexington.com.
Want to hear my success story? I'm Fran Halloran, the money coach. I'm celebrating a decade of partnering with The Point. It's one of the best decisions I ever made. I've used The Point to significantly grow my small business. It started with a meeting with Kevin Cohen. Do you own a small business? Are you on a limited budget? No problem. Reach out to Kev at 563-8558. Get a customized plan and start your journey to business growth with The Point today. Success is one call away. Take the leap.
Hello, this is Stacy Huff, host of Huff Nation Sports Zone, each and every Saturday, 10 to 11 a.m. right here on 100.7 FM, The Point, and also 1470 a.m. It'll be a fun trip around the world of sports. Huff Nation Sports Zone, check it out.
All right, coming up, we got Rudy Jones here in just a moment. He's going to touch them all around South Carolina. But Bill was with us in Orangeburg before he hit the break. Let's let him finish up. Bill, welcome back. Appreciate your patience. Go right ahead.
All right, Corn. You were saying that the NFL doesn't do what the others do as far as trying to lose to get a lottery pick or whatever. But the NFL, the Major League Baseball, NBA, they all have a time in the season where they're either buying or selling. And the ones that are selling are typically trying to get a better pick. The NFL has a slogan every year. A couple of years ago, it was tanking for Tua. Next year, it's liable to be awful for Arch. The leagues tank for better picks.
Well, you make a good point about the trade deadlines and dumping players. I get that. I don't know. I mean, the performances of the teams after they make the trades, like I've never understood in Major League Baseball with their trade deadline why a team was only 6 or 7 games out of their division race would dump so many players thinking the season is over. I think that's I think that's what you're saying. I think that's an early give up on a season. So I hear what you're saying.
Agree.
I hear what you're saying about that, but I will say that the players that they obtain, NFL in trades, and same thing with Major League Baseball, if they have call-ups or they make some trades, I mean, those guys seem to play hard to the end. And
the players are going to play hard.
Yeah.
But the management is trying to tank for the player they want. In a lot of cases, not every case, but a lot of cases.
No, I see where you're coming from there. I can see where that would be viewed that way. But the NBA just flat out admits that it's afraid that their players and their teams just aren't going to play hard to the end. Those who are out of the playoff run just aren't going to play hard to the end. They just flat out admit it, and it's not a good look if you ask me. Maybe there was an era there. Maybe there was an era there with the NBA before the lottery that teams who were out of the playoff hunt just kind of messed around and didn't play hard basketball and didn't care about wins and losses. Maybe there was an era there of that. I don't know that we have. I don't know that we would have that today. I think
we do in the NFL, but it's the management, not the players.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. I don't know. I see NFL teams just playing hard to the end, Bergie. I haven't seen where I think management makes decisions and they might weaken their team by making player personnel decisions. They might weaken their team. Mm-hmm. And he makes an excellent point there that you can weaken a team, and even if they play hard, they've been weakened personnel-wise, and they're still going to lose. But the guys are going to play hard. They're just not as good as the guys that you replaced.
You're right.
Thank you for the phone call. We appreciate it. All right, a little more baseball in depth around the state of South Carolina as we touch them all with our buddy Rudy Jones. All right, let's welcome in Rudy Jones with us here on Sports Talk. Rudy, of course, longtime sports writer in the upstate of South Carolina with the Greenville News in particular, and now off and on his own, following baseball in the state of South Carolina, and does a fantastic job. Has a go-to site, Palmetto State Baseball. Palmetto State Baseball, if you want to keep up with what's happening at all levels of college baseball in the state, I recommend it highly. Welcome in, Rudy. How are you?
I am great, Phil. And I want to say in response to Hank's call, I'm just glad that you and I were able to come to agreement on what my calls each week are worth. But
I think they're worth what we give you. That's exactly what I think they're worth.
See, you get your money's worth.
Yeah.
But it's it's an exciting time. Come down to the close of the regular season for the Division I teams. Division II's in the playoffs, and a lot of things still happening, even though most of the state schools are through for the season.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the situation with Flodar, and they're playing Hartford Community College tomorrow at noon. Series is tied at 1. They're going to play this at Patriots Point in Charleston for the NJCAA East District Championship. The winner goes on to the Nationals, correct?
Correct. The one of the teams that qualifies for the Junior College Championship in Grand Junction, Colorado. Of course, that's the Omaha of the junior college crowd, at least for Division I. And Florence Darlington Tech's been there a couple of times before. Hartford came down and shut them out in the first game of the series on Saturday. They were trying to get them all in over the weekend, but the rain just didn't let them do it. And then Florence Darlington Tech bounced back in the second game on Saturday and won 4-1, so that's where they are now. And I'm sure it's just the fact that the conditions are going to be a little bit better down in Charleston than they might be at Daly Field in Florence, so that's why I want to be able to get it in. And it's getting close to time to where they need to have the team selected so they make the travel plans, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But it's it's a good caliber of baseball. Florence Darlington Tech's 50-10. Hartford, I think, is 50-9. They've been to Grand Junction a couple of times themselves over the past few years.
Yeah, I saw where South Carolina just got a commitment from a player from Florence Darlington Tech. So they consistently produce players going to the next level.
They do. There's a guy on North Carolina's team there, Bron Kellis. There have been several guys that have played like at College of Charleston. Other schools like that, it is a good training ground for guys who may not quite be ready for a 4-year school as far as on the Division I level. And, the way the eligibility rules have changed, it almost sounds like you can play 2 years at junior college and then go play 4 years at a Division I school. I mean, that is wild. I don't know that I like that, but it is what it is. And the NCAA, of course, they make all kinds of changes compared to what it used to be.
Well,
it used to be a hard 4 years, and on a rare occasion they'd give you a fifth.
They're under
now
pressure.
Guys are trying to get Social Security.
They're under pressure from the courts to make all these changes. I mean, they don't want to make them, but they're being instructed or ordered to make them by the courts who are ruling on these lawsuits. And in most cases, now we have seen here recently where courts have ruled against preliminary injunctions to give athletes another year. What about the Division II teams? And you've got the Southeastern Regional in Salisbury, North Carolina. We've got Lander and North Greenville there. What do you think is going to come out of that particular regional?
That is an interesting regional. For those who may not be quite as familiar with Division II, all of their guys go to the same regional. In other words, you wouldn't send a South Carolina or a Clemson out to a regional in California. All the teams from the same regional play in one regional for the chance to go to Cary, which is where the D2 College World Series is.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed today that someone posted that 8 of the top 23 teams in the country are at that regional. And you think about that, that's pretty strong. And, a team that did not get in is Francis Marion, which won 40 games, had a great season. They've also been nationally ranked. So you're talking about really at least 9 worthy teams, and only 8 could get in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the NCAA will ever consider, mixing regionals up, if you will, to say send a North Greenville or Francis Marion to the Midwest or whatever like that. I don't know whether it's primarily cost related or what, but if a team gets through the Southeast Regional, they're going to be in pretty good shape. They've proven themselves. Of course, they're all 3 pretty good leagues. I think that right now Conference Carolinas is a little bit above the other 2, the South Atlantic Conference and Peach Belt, just as far as depth. There's some very strong teams at the top of the South Atlantic Conference as well, with Catawba, which is the top seed in the tournament. But it's good caliber of baseball. And you may have already mentioned this earlier, but they play 2 4-team regionals to set up a best-of-3 super regional, much like the Division I does. And so Lander and North Greenville are both in the same regional up in Salisbury. They play Catawba and Young Harris, respectively. And the other regional is hosted by Belmont Abbey, which got in. Well, they were probably going to get in as an at-large anyway, but they won the Conference of Carolinas tournament, and it was a pretty good job. They had to come back and beat Young Harris twice in the championship round. So it's going to be some good competition at both places.
How much longer do you think Landon Powell is going to be hanging in there at North Greenville before somebody bigger scoops him up?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if, like one more national championship will get someone to make the call or what. I know that there are some South Carolina fans who would love to see him in Columbia. There are some who say, well, he's doing it on the Division II level. But, I don't know. If you're a winner, you're a winner. And so, he's been able to do a good mix of getting freshman players in there, plus guys who were at a Division I school who maybe didn't get as much of a chance to play as they would have liked and want to play some more. Tristan Salinas has been one of his better players this year. Tristan could barely sniff the field at Carolina, but he's hitting well over 300 last time I looked. He's been able to mold the people he gets to do well. He's got an excellent bullpen. Maybe he doesn't have quite the starting pitching he's had in some previous years, but Matty Brown has done well. He's unbeaten, which is as good as you can be. But he gets good players up there. I don't think people need to scoff at Division II.
That's good baseball.
Touching them all with Rudy Jones here tonight on Sports Talk. And Rudy, I want to go back to your point about Francis Marion not getting into the Division II baseball tournament. I was surprised, considering the season they had, finishing tied for first in Conference Carolinas. And as you pointed out, that's a really good baseball league. What would have been the argument against them, and in your mind, who got in over them, and was it a correct selection to put somebody in over Francis Marion, considering they had 40-plus wins this year?
I have seen some people speculating online about their non-conference strength I don't know if that's fair or not. They've beaten most of the people they were supposed to beat. And I don't know if, for instance, if Belmont Abbey had not won the tournament, that perhaps they would have gotten in. Belmont Abbey is usually an excellent program. They were a little bit down in the conference race this year. I'm trying to remember. I think they might have been 4th or 5th in the conference. So it may have been that Belmont Abbey winning the tournament is the team that knocked Francis Marion out. I know in the South Atlantic Conference, Carson Newman, Catawba, and Lenore Ryan were all excellent. Carson Newman a little bit below the other two. In the Peach Belt, you got Lander and North Georgia, which finished tied for first. So I don't know. I mean, it's unfortunate for Francis Marion that it turned out this way. And I think that if I said before, like they went out of the region to send other teams, it might have been a better chance for them to get in.
Or if they're still in the Peach Belt, would that have helped them, hurt them? Clearly, the Peach Belt in terms of baseball is on par with Conference Carolinas, but actually this may be one of the few sports where Conference Carolina is actually better than the Peach Belt. If they were over still in the Peach Belt as they used to be, would that have been a better option for them?
I don't know. I mean, you're talking Lander in North Georgia. You also have Georgia College, which was down a little bit this year. Usually the USC Aiken's a little bit better than they were this year. But I think it's one of those things that just happened to be an unfortunate year for Francis Marion. And let's face it, Coach Jefferson did a great job over there. They were, I think they won like maybe 19 last year. I'm trying to remember, but they had a vast improvement over last season with Coach Jefferson after Coach Arden Abnett retired. But anytime, no matter how many teams you're going to have, somebody's going to say we should have got in. I mean, you hear it in basketball, you hear it in the football playoffs, whatever it is. There's always some teams that are going to feel like they were worthy, and they probably were, but just they didn't make it.
Quick thought, moving back up to the Division I level. Quick thought, if you had some pixie dust that you could sprinkle and help Eric Bakich out a little bit with the way Clemson has played here the last couple of weeks, more concerning for you, would you sprinkle that dust on their offense or on their pitching staff?
I would say more on the pitching staff and maybe a little bit on the defense. I mean, that 10-run inning Duke had on, Saturday, all 10 runs were unearned because of an error that I did not see the play, but it was described to me as a routine ground ball. Now there's one out. Could have been a double play if he makes the play. But you can't assume a double play, so that's part of that. But still, make the plays. And the pitching has not been quite as good as it has been. I know he's tried to mix and match to get people to go with Aiden Canuck in the weekend rotation. And one guy may do well this weekend and not do as well the next weekend. So it's just one of those things. And part of it too, maybe the guys are getting a little bit tired. Not saying they're not in shape, not saying they're not trying the best they can, but sometimes fatigue just gets you at some moments. And you also have to give credit to the other teams. I mean, Duke's a great team. Some of the other teams have probably been really good. Lost midweek to Coastal Carolina. Certainly not a disgrace to lose to Coastal. They lost to Coastal twice this year. Coastal's won 11 straight, 15 straight in the conference. And, teams, it's not one of these things where only like maybe 30 teams nationwide that really care about college baseball like it was maybe 30 years ago. I mean, now you've got probably 60, 70 or more, they're saying, hey, we want to get in on this. And, they're devoting resources to it. And, whereas the ACC was a little bit easier to win maybe 30 years ago, it's not as easy now. And same for other conferences.
Rudy, as always, we appreciate it. You have yourself a great week. We remind everybody to keep up with your stuff every night. If you're up late and you want to read about baseball around South Carolina, Rudy's up late as well. Palmetto State Baseball. All you got to put in your browser there, and that'll take you to it. He's got schedules. He's got standings. He's got insights on teams. Really, really good stuff. We appreciate you. We'll talk to you next week.
Appreciate it, Rudy.
Thank you very much. Y'all have a great night. Thanks. Have a good one.
Take care, buddy. Rudy Jones, appreciate that very much. Going to go to the break, and on the other side, we'll give you tonight's recruiting report, which is brought to you by Seawells. Let me remind you that Seawells will have their daily luncheon buffet for you beginning tomorrow, Tuesday through Friday, from 11 till 2 for only $14. Get there and enjoy. And for the best in the catering business, give Seawells a call at 803-771-7385, online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. We'll give you the news after the break.
Traveling can be the worst, especially when you can't find your favorite show. Well, don't worry. We've got the perfect way to keep up with everything happening in the Palmetto State when you're away from home. Just pull up the Chief Sports app on your mobile device, and you can listen live to Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network.
So the next time you can't find us on one of our great radio affiliates, just log on to the Chief Sports app, the best way to stay connected with the Sports Talk Media Network.
Are you in the market for an auto loan? Move now. Get an auto loan from Founders Federal Credit Union now through October 31st, and you'll be entered to win up to $25,000 toward your qualifying auto loan and a $5,000 deposit into your Loyalty Select account. Loyalty Select is our highest yield savings account. Leave it there to grow or transfer it out to spend. And the best part? We'll be choosing monthly winners. So the earlier you get your auto loan, the more chances you have to win. So don't wait. Visit foundersfcu.com/auto to learn more or begin your auto loan application today. Not a Founders member yet? Visit us online or stop by an office to learn more about Founders and see if you qualify for membership. We have the financial tools you'll need and the personalized service you deserve. Relax, you're with Founders. Terms and conditions apply. Membership qualification required.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
All right, a lot of notes for you coming off the weekend, so let's give you what we've got and what we've been looking at here. First of all, defensive tackle Brian Harris of Jacksonville set May 23rd for his commitment date. It's coming up in 11 days. And he told rivals he's down to South Carolina, Penn State, Oklahoma, Michigan, and Alabama. He plans to make his announcement following his spring game that night. And he said Sunday night he will only take an official visit to the school he chooses. He had previously set visits with all four of his finalists. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That'd be all five of his finalists. He visited USC in January as well as for the spring game in April. Defensive end Carter Meadows set an official visit to South Carolina for May 30th. Following that trip will be stops at Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan. Those are his final four schools. He also visited USC on April 17th. A lot of offers going out by South Carolina. Defensive tackle Whitley Cadeau, 6'4", make that 6'5", 290, from Atlanta. Also has offers from Georgia Tech, Florida, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, Georgia. Has an official visit to Georgia Tech for June 6th. Defensive tackle Dominique Harris, 6'8", 325 from Las Vegas. Clemson was one of his earlier offers. He was scheduled to visit Utah over the weekend. He also has visits planned with Auburn for this coming weekend and Washington on May 30th. 2027 defensive tackle Donovan Moore, who's 6'4", 260 of Hueytown, Alabama. And he's got LSU, Texas, Ohio State, Southern Cal, Georgia among his offers. 2027 offensive tackle Carter Jones, 6'6", 290 of Pequoson, Virginia. He visited USC and Clemson earlier in the spring, and Clemson has interest but hasn't offered. Kentucky, Auburn, North Carolina, Georgia, Penn State among his offers. South Carolina also offered 2027 defensive end James Pace, 6'4", 235, Hyattsville, Maryland. He also has Oregon, Auburn, Tennessee, Alabama, Florida State, Georgia among his offers. USC offered 27 linebacker Caden Henderson, 6'2", 210 of Tampa. Clemson's also very involved there. USC also offered 27 safety Omari Sanders, 6'4", 205 of Nashville. He also has Florida State, Auburn, A&M, Georgia, West Virginia, Tennessee, Duke among his offers. And South Carolina offered 2028 linebacker Andre Alexander Jr., 6'1", 210 of IMG Academy. Clemson target wide receiver Craig Dandridge has added official visits to Georgia Tech on June the 6th, Tennessee June 13th, and Georgia June 20th, according to Dogs 24/7. He earlier set Stanford for May 16th and Clemson for May 30th. Clemson target linebacker Tyler Atkinson met with Ohio State coaches on Friday. Clemson target defensive end J.R. Hardrick was offered by Mississippi State and Kentucky. Georgia OC Mike Bobo visited Clemson target running back Jay Lamar of Moultrie, Georgia. He is scheduled to visit Clemson. That's Lamar, not Bobo, on May the 30th. Clemson target wide receiver Cedric Morgan was at Colorado over the weekend. He's got Virginia Tech this weekend. Clemson is May 30th, followed by Florida, Auburn, and Alabama. More offers to mention for that Clemson target defensive end J.R. Hardrick. He also picked up offers from Wake Forest and Virginia. South Carolina commitment. Cornerback Jazavian Currents was offered by Texas. South Carolina target safety Joel Combe of Marietta, Georgia, plans to visit Georgia on Saturday. Dutch Fork defensive end Julian Walker will take an official to NC State on June 6th. He is also a USC target, and he has visited there several times, as his dad is a member of the strength staff. North Carolina is also expected to get an official visit. Orangeburg Prep tight end Tilden Riley was offered by Rutgers on Sunday. He has officials set with Virginia Tech, West Virginia, Vanderbilt. Now he's added South Carolina for June 20th, replacing FAU. South Carolina and Clemson target offensive tackle Darius Gray has been projected to LSU by Steve Wiltfong. He's scheduled for an official to Clemson May 30th, USC June 20th. Piedmont native quarterback Mason Holtzclaw, who reclassified to 26 and is now in Carrollton, Georgia, has set officials to East Carolina on June 12th and Charlotte on June 20th. South Carolina offered him when Dowell Loggins was the quarterback coach. 27 corner Joshua Dobson of Catawba Ridge was offered by Miami. 28 center Brody Lorenzo, 6'3", 300 of Dutch Fork, was offered by Cincinnati and Liberty. In basketball, Clemson offered 27'6" Kamaje Jenkins of Atlanta, and 6'4" Chris Davis Jr. of Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, committed to the College of Charleston. That'll do it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Chris.
Yes,
thank you,
sir.
Plummer, and thank you to Buddy. See you tomorrow.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump is declaring victory after a 90-day truce was announced between the U.S. and China in the tariff trade war.
They've agreed to open China, fully open China,